Lucifer was furious with Yahweh's betrayal, as the Zetans were indulging in sexual intercourses with both genders. When they have lost the power of the primordial Zeto crystal, feeling jealous that Yahweh had not kept his loyalty to him, he knocked Yahweh unconscious in a fit of jealousy. When Yahweh awoke years later, he found himself surrounded by a group of Zetans, led by Zeus, who confronted him about his reckless trip to Earth for sexual relations with human females. Rather than apologize, Yahweh defended his actions, emphasizing the need to preserve their genetics, despite Lucifer revealing that only one child resulted from his efforts, who was executed before having descendants. Furious, Yahweh brandished a concealed weapon, demanding that the other Zetans leave. With time running out before they armed themselves, Yahweh ordered Lucifer to activate the divine portal to Earth, despite the risk of disintegration due to its uncharged state. As they prepared to use the portal, the other Zetans returned, with Zeus threatening Yahweh and insisting on his surrender. In a desperate act, Yahweh pushed Lucifer into the portal, causing it to implode and create a black hole that trapped him inside the palace. Isolated and unable to escape or communicate, Yahweh eventually succumbed to despair and took his own life, leaving his corpse to be discovered thousands of years later by the human being Abraham Goldstein. Time flew back to the present when Abraham Goldstein awoke from a long slumber to find one of his angels, also called Lucifer, contacting him with news that the construction of Eden was completed and ready for habitation. Although he considered visiting the new constructed world in person, Abraham opted to communicate telepathically instead, due to his old age and frail condition. As the conversation progressed, Abraham learned that House Goldstein had lost control of the rest of the House Goldstein's dominion outside of Antarctica, which fueled his disappointment and mistrust towards the newly appointed Isaac Goldstein and his future plans. Abraham Goldstein decided to leave the matters at hand and went to pursue on developing a religion to control his Edenite people, and made the final revisions to the first chapter of his significant religious work, the Abrahamion. Later, Lucifer traveled to Mount Sinai, the central point of the asteroid Eden, where ancient laws would be imparted to Abraham's followers, according to the laws of the Abrahamion. The mountain's height posed a challenge due to the thin atmosphere, making it nearly impossible to climb without divine assistance. From the summit, Lucifer surveyed the landscape, noting the stark lack of biodiversity, as the focus of the Eden project was to create a livable world for Abraham's people rather than replicate Earth's ecosystems. Observing the beautiful but aesthetically backward villages and farmland, he understood that the advanced technology of the divine God and angel microchips must be hidden from future inhabitants to maintain the illusion of a Bronze Age civilization, which to keep them stupid and under control. After taking in the view, Lucifer returned to the Divine Control Center, preparing for the upcoming colonization of Eden by the selected Terran refugees imprisoned in Mars prior to the deportation to Eden, with much work ahead of him. Abraham Goldstein made the final changes to the first chapter of the Abrahamion, his great religious work that would be the foundation for his religion. Abraham had decided to make Yahweh the great creator in his Abrahamic religion, with himself described as Yahweh's successor. Doing this was the least he could do to honor Yahweh, as he admired everything that Yahweh had done as a humble Zetan, prior to the intergalactic wars that killed the planet Zetani. Abraham decided to make Yahweh the only God who was all-powerful, omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent. Abraham, as Yahweh's successor, would only claim to be powerful, but not omnipresent and omniscient. This distinction would not make any difference in the day-to-day life of his followers, as Abraham was still the only deity to worship in his Edenite world. Abraham went to cite on the first chapters of the Abrahamion, which would become the book that all Edenites must learn and follow. In the beginning, the great divine Yahweh created the heavens and the earth. After this, he created land and water. He saw that this was good. After a while, his creation started to bore him. So Yahweh created animals and plants to have something to marvel. He marveled at the beautiful nature for millions of years. After observing his creation through the eons, he created humankind in his image. At first, humans were no different from the other mere beasts, but eventually, Yahweh induced them with his great spirit to give them consciousness and a soul. He also introduced them to his divine law at Mount Sinai on earth. This law was to guide them in their lives and keep them aligned to his divine plan. From the start, the foolish humans opposed him, trying to live their lives in a way that was opposed to the direction given by the great Yahweh. Yahweh kept trying to get humanity back to following his divine plan because he loved them and because all humans carried a bit of his soul. Having given away a part of his soul to give humanity consciousness, Yahweh suffered every time someone strayed from the path and broke against the wisdom of his divine law. Eventually, he grew older and lost his enthusiasm because of the vile abominations that humanity took part in, disrespecting his holy will. Yahweh spoke to his archangel and closest confidant Abraham. Why can't I, the all-powerful master of the universe, get these humans to obey my will when I created them in my image? Abraham answered, because you gave them a piece of your soul to give them consciousness. This part of your spirit also gave them the free will to do as they please and stray from your path. Having contemplated Abraham's wise words, Yahweh agreed with Abraham. He had been too kind to these people. They owed him everything, and yet they kept causing him suffering. Yahweh had lived for millions of years in peace, harmony, and bliss before creating humanity. Since he created humankind 7,000 years earlier, his life was nothing but pain and suffering. He summoned Archangel Abraham and his other angels. I have decided to end myself and humanity, Yahweh said. After a short break, he continued, I have suffered more these last 7,000 years than I did for billions of years before humanity. These beasts have shattered my soul, and I will end them to finally find eternal peace. Abraham interjected, there are still righteous humans who follow your will. We must not let them suffer. To which Yahweh retorted, your compassion blinds you. The few righteous cannot outweigh the wickedness around them. To this, Abraham offered, I would gladly sacrifice part of my soul to save the worthy. Contemplating this, Yahweh recognized that annihilating the good would taint his peace in the afterlife. He instructed Abraham to find the worthy souls within a year, promising to put them in a protected vessel before his planned destruction of earth. Regrettably, Abraham had only salvaged 3,000 souls, wishing he could save more. Adhering to Yahweh's guidelines, he, along with his 30 angels, created Eden as a new sanctuary for humanity. Abraham appointed Lucifer as his archangel and envoy to Eden, while he oversaw all from the divine dimension. Abraham divided humanity into 7 tribes, each overseen by angels, while Lucifer governed Eden. To connect with him, every newborn would receive a divine shard infused with Abraham's eternal soul at baptism, marking the first commandment of Abraham, his God.